Hey, it's Adam Lugsch-Tehle, existential and lifestyle coach. Have you ever considered how avoiding feelings of shame might actually lead to this dangerous spiral of shamelessness? It's like this covert operation where toxic shame transforms into this distorted sense of superiority. Shame is inherently uncomfortable. It's an uncomfortable emotion that's tied to feelings of unworthiness, inadequacy, and the fear of disconnection. When we experience shame, our instinct is often to withdraw, to go inward, to protect ourselves from further pain. That makes sense, right? However, avoiding or denying shame only causes it to intensify within us. It's like a beach ball that we're holding under the water. That suppressed shame builds this incredible amount of pressure within our psyche, and then eventually and inevitably, it must be released. Without conscious processing, shame finds these subtle ways to leak out through defense mechanisms like denial or projection or entitlement or pride. And this creates a dangerous spiral where less than becomes better than. As we avoid shame, it morphs into an illusion of control. It morphs into arrogance. Escaping shame by believing that we are above it leads to what we might call shameless shame. This is the process by which stupidity adopts arrogance. Foolishness takes on a sense of pride, and feelings of inadequacy transform into a distorted sense of superiority. It's a deceptive trap. It's an allure of finally feeling normal by declaring ourselves better than shame. However, this strategy is no more than a facade. It's covering a deeper and deeper truth, because underneath the veil of arrogance lies unprocessed toxic shame and self-abandonment. The harder we fight against shame, the more we start to reinforce the belief that there is something inherently wrong with feeling inadequate or making mistakes. And this sets up for this vicious cycle where imperfection, where vulnerability, they become the enemy, requiring ever greater walls of denial and projection. And escaping shame in this way is almost akin to using morphine to numb emotional pain instead of tending to the underlying wound. It's not a sustainable solution. So have you ever experienced that paradoxical situation where in an attempt to avoid shame, you actually inadvertently find yourself entangled in a web of entitlement, pride, self-inflation? When we sidestep shame by believing ourselves to be superior, or special, or invulnerable, we enter some really dangerous territory. Ironically, in our quest to escape the pain of shame, we construct an even more precarious tower of false power and control. The higher it reaches, the more destabilized its foundations become. And what was once protecting us from shame slowly transforms into a lack of accountability, relational dysfunction, a denial of our deepest needs and our brokenness. The very act of dodging shame creates these unforeseen consequences down the road. And each time we ignore the message behind shame's arrival, we create a buildup of unprocessed emotions, unmet needs, and inner fragmentation. When we resist and what we resist persists, superseded shame grows beneath the surface until eventually the entire shameless strategy collapses under its own weight. We find ourselves triggered. We find ourselves defensive, protecting this illusion of greatness that we've created. And only by moving through the shame can we dismantle the faulty structures that are making up this facade of self-sufficiency and superiority. We must brave the wilderness to arrive home. The shameless route promises safety, promises control, normalcy, when we construct these alternate realities about being untouchable, certain, right, or even deserving, we enter the profoundly convincing world of illusions. And for a time, it allows us that refuge from the inner demon of inadequacy, right? However, this disassociative split from reality also separates us from our true feelings, our needs, and our soulful purpose. In truth, shamelessness represents self-abandonment, and it's driven by toxic shame about our human fallibility. By refusing or distorting feedback about our mistakes, deficiencies, and brokenness, we betray ourselves on a deeply, deeply spiritual level. We have these unused gifts, these unused talents that go to waste because we focus on the pretense, we focus on the image, and over time, denied feelings and unmet needs, they accumulate, signaled by symptoms like addiction, like depression, a chronic emptiness. This illusion controls us until we courageously explore the inner terrain, mindfully holding our pain. We remain trapped by the very defenses built to ensure our false safety. Freedom awaits. Are you ever exhausted? Living under the weight of maintaining that image, scrambling for validation of your worth, and almost barricading yourself against these undesirable feelings? What nourishment, meaning, or love can take root in such stony soil? The path of shame and pretense suffocates our spirit. Yet an alternative does exist. Along the way, marked by courage and compassion, we discover our inextricable belonging to ourselves, each other, and the ground of all being, if you will. Here we come home to a shared experience beyond our thoughts, our facades, beyond the artificial divisions. Our unparalleled adventure becomes the journey to liberation from emptiness and from fear by embracing vulnerability, by embracing truth. Let's explore the methods, maybe a few tools for intervening on shameful and shameless patterns. By committing to this conscious growth, we can almost dismantle these dysfunctional structures of separation brick by brick by brick, opening a space for our birthright of spiritual freedom. When we allow, heal, and integrate denied aspects of ourselves with radical self-acceptance, we reunite with our whole being. Shame is that feeling that arises when we don't receive the positive regard, the attunement, the mirroring, the nurturing, the security, and empathetic attunement required to develop internal stability and self-cohesion. The instincts of a shamed child are to hide his needs and flaws in order to not lose the vital tie to caretakers. However, this creates an accumulation of unprocessed emotions and a distorted personality structure organized around avoiding shame. We can intervene on toxic shame by bringing conscious awareness and co-regulation to heal past relational wounds imprinted on the psyche. With courage, with self-compassion, bravery, we lovingly address denied needs and feelings from a grounded state of emotional union within ourselves. So let me talk about the tool I use. Intervening on shameful and shameless spirals. Step one, I want you to identify your triggers. Recognize when you are triggered into shameful hiding or shameless projection. I want you to name the emotions. I want you to name the sensations. Step two, give yourself a timeout. I mean it, no joke here. To prevent destructive reacting, I want you to time out, pause, focus on your breath, and orient to the present. This grounds us to respond way more mindfully. Step three, I want you to apply some spiritual principles to this situation. Meet the moment with humility, with empathy, with care, with surrender, with compassion. This heals the past pain imprints, calling for that correction. Then step four, establish relational equity or equality. Get support and then perceive the situation freshly, not through the lens of historic, unequal power dynamics that become a replay of shamefully or shamelessly events. Just stop, rebalance. Step 5, unpack toxic shame. Explore possible ways that your defense mechanisms cause self-abandonment. What feelings and what needs might you be denying? Question past shameless superiority. Step 6, I want you to develop a really healthy inner witness. Be your own wise, caring, elder parent. Rather than abandoned child or defensive teenager, I want you to take the responsibility while protecting from toxic shame. Be your best parent. Step 7, commit to further recovery. Make a plan. Make a plan to continue to heal through coaching, counseling, support groups like CODA, body-based practices, vulnerability, and authentic relationships, real relationships. And then finally, step 8, support your growth. Take actions no matter how small so you can anchor your recovery journey, like journaling, for example, or meditating, connecting to purpose. Embrace the entirety of who you are with compassion. It's self-care 101. Listen, we heal in layers by continually rewriting the scripts that have been handed down from generation to generation. In time, we will actualize the incredible beings we all are when no part of ourselves is abandoned. By courageously facing our inner terrain, we will develop the muscle to stay open-hearted amidst life's greatest challenges. Soon, we create mutually supportive relationships and communities cooperating with, rather than trying to control, life's natural mystery and unfolding. So here's to intervening on the shameful and shameless spirals and living unstoppably free together, starting today.